Club.
I'm barred, guys, and I kill 𝐸𝐸𝐼𝐴.
Bad roads and
Rapers, what is good? It's your boy Laser. You guys back with another reaction video. You guys loving the reaction content? So I team deliver that for you guys ranked into the darkest band in history, Mayhem. Guys, I'm not really a black metal fan, but it's like, as far as Mayhem, I just know that band was fucked up. This is what happens when bands don't do drugs, bruh. They were burning churches on fire. Shit, I'm gonna burn buildings on fire in the future, but not churches, though, because I love God. But if you guys enjoy the reaction content, you want to skip this feature, it's way to like button. You subscribe to the notification bell, because in the Twitch streams fucking amazing. Let's dive straight out of the video. Here we go. Mayhem, 𝐸𝐸𝐼𝐴. 𝐸𝐸𝐼𝐴, bro. I've seen like the footage
Black
of
metal
𝐸𝐸𝐼𝐴
has
fucking
become
death,
one
bro.
of the most talked about, controversial subgenres over the last few decades. Its history is so long, rich, and...
Wait, didn't Dead fucking, was he the one... I know Dead fucking committed suicide. I know there's literally a picture, an infamous picture of his guts and shit on the fucking, like, his head blown off as, like, an album cover, but it was, like, taken down or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Confusing that even trying to dissect the genre as a whole is a task that many music journalists
like,
have
fucking
failed
wrist
at.
on stage,
But
too.
there is one man that has so many ties to the genre, and such an influence on the music, that merely talking about him and the band he was a part of is a crash course into the history of black metal itself. This man was 𝐈𝐴, otherwise known as 𝐸𝐸𝐼𝐴. He was the co-founder of the Norwegian band known as...
I don't know why, but I just know that bitch was probably getting all the play, bro. 100%. He was a fine motherfucker. Dude, I'm gonna be for real. I want my hair to look like this in the future. I kind of want it to go long, bro. One day, I want to have it look like this. I don't know why. When I'm like in my late 20s, like 30s, I'll probably have it go this long. I don't know why. Maybe.
A notorious group that had an intense influence on the scene as a whole. And he perfectly encapsulated the absolute insanity that some of these black metal icons took part in. His extreme...
Yeah, that's the thing about black metal, man. It's like, I'm gonna be for real, like, I don't even think black metal is bad. It's just I'm not really a huge fan of it, you know? Like, I think some black metal songs are good. I know fucking there's one song of fucking Nirvana, bro, where, like, he actually tried to do, like, black metal. I think it was called Exorcist. I forgot. I think you guys know what I'm talking about if you're a Nirvana fan. I love Nirvana. I'm not like I mean, I'm actually a huge Nirvana fan, but it's like... And I can name more songs than Smells Like Teen Spirit and Come As You Are. Lithium. That's not a mainstream song, right? Nah, but I like Nirvana. As far as death metal, bro, yeah, all they do in death metal is just go like this.
Antics, nihilistic nature, and abrasive persona made him stand out like a sore thumb in a genre that was already pretty intense to begin with. All of these elements would eventually combine to a shocking conclusion in 1993 when 𝐸𝐸𝐼𝐴 was killed by his own bandmate. But we have about 1,000 other crazy things to talk about before we get to that point. So strap in and join me as we have a look at the insane life of one of black metal's biggest icons.
Oh, they were in Norway, right? The early days. This is what happens when bands don't do drugs,
On
bro.
the 22nd of March, 1968,
burning buildings and shit, like churches.
𝐈𝐴 was born in
Not buildings,
𝐬𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐴,
churches.
Norway, a small town in the south that had actually been broken up and divided 3 years prior, meaning that the population of the town he grew
Hey,
up
I'm gonna do this shit in the future, bro. I'm manifesting this all. I already know that I'm gonna drive down roads like this in the future, 100%.
in was only around 3,700 people. Very little is known about his childhood, as is the case with many black metal musicians, but what is known is that 𝐸𝐴 rebelled from the conventional norms of his small town from an early age, and he was inspired by other metal bands, like many of his contemporaries. One of these bands was an English group known as Venom, based in Newcastle. Venom was also trying to escape from the conventional norms that they felt trapped in, but instead of breaking away from society, they were actually trying to break away from metal itself. They wanted to take everything up a notch, from their sound to their imagery, and that's exactly what they did on their sophomore album, released in 1982, which was actually called Black Metal. It was an 11-track album.
Guys, he looks like a friendly motherfucker. Look how friendly he looks. He's very cute.
Album that was filled with satanic imagery, shocking lyrics, and louder, more extreme production that were proved to be hugely influential to thrash metal, extreme metal, and of course, black metal, even lending the name to the genre. a 22-year-old Euronymous, desperate to rebel and do something similar, would be hugely influenced by this album.
He's just like me, bro. I'm planning a whole rebellion. Literally. I'm planning a whole rebellion. And the whole world's gonna be against me. Do I care? Nope. I don't give two fucks.
And would cite it as one of his main inspirations for starting his own band with some friends in 1984.
I'm crazy.
This band was called Mayhem, which was derived from a Venom song titled Mayhem with Mercy. And it was started by drummer Shekel Monheim, who simply called himself by his second.
I know, cause I know fucking Dead. Didn't Necro Butcher talk about how he was gonna fucking Necro Butcher? That's his name, right? He was the drummer or some shit. I don't fucking remember. I just know one of the members was actually planning on killing fucking cause I know Varg, that was his name, right? I know Varg killed Euronymous. And then cause I remember watching the movie, bro. The movie's so dog shit. That's that Lords of Chaos movie. But if it wasn't for that movie, I wouldn't have had the Circle of Chaos album. That's how I got the inspiration. I was like, why not put like chaos, like the term chaos? I got it from Lords of Chaos. Like I don't know why, but for some reason, I was like, yo, why not make my first album Circles of Chaos, bro? You know. But it's like, what was I gonna fucking say? Fucking goddamn. Dude, my hair looks so, like, I look so bad whenever I get out of the shower, bro. It's crazy. Unless someone finds me attractive right now. Who wants to suck my dick? Nah, but, I'm a horny bastard, bro. Do I care? No. Nah, but, on some real shit, like, I just know fucking, I think Necro Butcher was planning on killing Euronymous before fucking Varg did. And then I remember there's like a footage of like Varg being sentenced or whatever. That was his name, right? Varg? I don't fucking know. I could be slow, but it's like I am. No, I'm not. But I know Varg was like planning on doing that. And there's like footage of him being sentenced and he's smiling. I wouldn't blame him because if I was sentenced to like a Norway prison, bro, I wouldn't complain.
Name, bassist Jorn Stubberud, otherwise known as Necro Butcher,
it was Norway,
and 𝐬𝐶, who played the guitar, and originally called himself
Norwegian
Destructor, but
black
later
metal.
changed his name to Euronymous. These three would have a rocky few years at the beginning, with a number of different vocalists that would make some of their earlier releases inconsistent but interesting nonetheless. They would attract a small but loyal underground following, and perform at some local venues.
I know they got like 200,000 on like 200,000 listeners on Spotify. I mean, they're like underground in a way, but it's like, I don't know. I know they're still a thing, but it's like I know they're probably total dog shit now. It's probably a completely different band.
But the most important thing they did was build the foundation for what Mayhem were to become. It was only a matter of time before everybody in Norway was talking about Mayhem and black metal in general, although this wasn't necessarily a good thing.
Interesting. The beginning of Mayhem, 1984, 1988.
In the beginning, Mayhem performed covers of songs by groups that they were inspired by. In an interview with Necro Butcher, he claims that they were essentially learning the instruments as they went, and that their sound was closer to punk than to metal. They had not yet found their dark sound, and this boils down to inexperience and their vocalists. On their first demo, Euronymous was their lead vocalist, but after it was released, they decided to search for some session vocalists to improve their sound. The two that they found were Erik Billy Norheim, otherwise known as Messiah, and Sven Erik Christensen, otherwise known as Maniac. Norheim practiced with them multiple times, but only played one show with them in 1985 before eventually quitting to focus on other musical endeavors. Maniac, on the other hand, stayed with the band for a few years and was their lead vocalist when they recorded their first EP in 1987, known as Death Crush.
Death Crush, yeah, bro. This is such like a sick fucking album cover on some real shit. This is such a sick album cover. Like, you know what's crazy, bro? When I made my like Circles of Chaos, like, I mean, I don't know, my Circles of Chaos text, like the font I used for my my cover, I don't know. It doesn't really look like this in a way. Kinda. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
7-track project definitely had darker undertones than most metal records at the time, but it was only a glimpse into the shocking music that Mayhem were truly capable of making. While some of their lyrics were dark and satanic, the instrumentation was a bit less abrasive, and the imagery was a bit more low-key.
Oh yeah, that's crazy, bro. Like, I don't know why, but for some odd reason, I just want to make my face like, not like this, but just the way Euronymous, like his face his face paint, bro. I want to look like that in the future. I want to dress like that. I want to dress up as like, well, not. He didn't. I don't know. I want to have face paint like that in the future, though. I don't know. I'm gonna dress up like something like a rock star for Halloween one year. I don't know. I dressed up as fucking Gene Simmons for Kiss like years ago, bro. That's serious. I actually looked really good too. Kiss is a good band. You know, they're mainstream as fuck, but I mean, oh yeah, because mainstream equals bad, right? Nah, Kiss is a good band. I think fucking I don't know. I love Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons is Jewish, bro. I'm pretty sure he's Jewish. I could be wrong. I think he's half Jewish. I don't fucking know. I think he's Jewish,
right? Down, but the EP was still very
I might be thinking of someone else.
In the book known as Black Metal, Evolution of the Coast by Dale Peterson, Mayhem stated that the sound technician they worked with had never recorded music that was this heavy and basically didn't know how to record it properly. This also meant that the music was not mixed and that nothing was overdubbed. Today, this would be a cardinal sin in the world of music, but in this case, it actually helped the record sound more raw and authentic, and it made for a pretty decent death metal EP that sold around 1,000 copies in Norway. Still, despite their sound being dark and controversial, they hadn't pushed the envelope enough and still hadn't developed into the full-on black metal band they were to become. Before that would happen, significant changes would be made to Mayhem's lineup. In 1988, Mannheim left the band and was replaced by Jan Axel Blomberg, otherwise known as Hellhammer. Maniac, who had established himself as a competent vocalist on Death Crush, would also leave the band, and his replacement...
Death! Yeah, see, like, this is who I want to look. I aspire to look like this fucker one day, bro. I want to have this exact makeup, bro. I'm going to have my hair long like this in the future. This is definitely going to be me one day, bro. Probably when I'm, like, mid-30, 40-ish, you know? I could definitely see myself looking like this one year, bro.
Changed 100%. The direction of Mayhem and black metal forever. In 1986, an introverted 17-year-old...
Yeah, this is the footage I was talking about, bro. Dude, you know what's crazy, bro? I think dude, they're like in the same... When they did their music and shit, bro, they did it like the same type of area I do mine. I think that's like a barn, bro. They got like a forest back here. Like it looks just like, dude, this literally just, I'm not joking when I say this. Like this area, this landscape looks just like where I live. Literally, I'm dead serious. There's like a whole forest back here, bro. My barn's like reddish. You got like a lot of space right here. This is literally like,
south of Stockholm, Sweden, started a band known as...
Like, bro, I'm not joking, man. Dude, you guys should see... Bro, I'm not joking when I say it's like in the forest back there, bro. I've done so much weird shit, bro. I've literally taken shits back there. I'm that weird. There's been days where I just decide, yo, I'm just gonna take a shit in the fucking forest, bro. I don't know. And then I smoked back there. I've done it all, man. Except fucking a bitch back there. I'm gonna be for real. It's whatever.
Morbid. This man was Per-Pelle Olin, otherwise known by his pseudonym Dead. Morbid only released one demo with Dead, known as December Moon, released in 1987, but this was more than enough to showcase the potential that Dead had as a vocalist. His voice was dark and menacing, even at 18 years old, and even though this 4-track project was basically a raw experiment, as opposed to a polished piece of work, it was more than enough to show what Dead was capable of doing.
See, that's all they do, bro. They just scream. Well, actually, no, you actually understand what he's saying here.
After this demo was released, Olin felt as if Morbid weren't going anywhere, and he wanted to be a part of something bigger and more established. His answer was Mayhem. According to Necrobutcher, Dead sent him a package that contained the Morbid demo, a letter containing his plans for the future, and a decomposing rat. Obviously this was bizarre, but the demo was definitely good enough. They invited him to join the group, and in 1988, Dead moved to Norway and replaced Maniac as the lead vocalist of Mayhem. It didn't take long for the band members to realize how strange Dead truly was. They would reflect on this years later in interviews.
I'm not sure I knew Pelle, the other Pelle. Dead Pelle we knew very well, and I guess the whole world, which are interested in Mayhem or in black metal in general, they know the image of Dead in Mayhem and his lyrics and what he stood for. But the private Pelle was a strange guy. The first time I met him, I got angry because I'm a kind of light-minded. I'm enjoying life. He did not.
No, he
Really
did not.
Did not. He was kind of depressed.
No, dude, I feel bad for this fucker, bro. Like, he was like, people tell me he was like the Kurt Cobain of like death metal. Like, I know, you know, like I said, I'm not really a big fan of like black metal or just like Mayhem in general, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like out of all like the fucking singers, like vocalists for black metal, I think Dead was probably the best one. Like, I watched this one video, bro, of him like just fucking, like, I think there's like just raw vocals of him and shit. I don't know. I think it actually sounded pretty good. You know, compared to I think black metal, all the other ones sounded dog shit, but for some reason his stood out. He definitely, to me, I think he was like the Kurt Cobain of black metal, 100%. And I think his story is pretty sad. You know, I look into it. It actually is pretty heartbreaking, you know?
I do think.
Oh, yeah, and fun fact, for goddamn, this is another inspiration. This is how I got more inspiration. Goddamn! So for the song cover, or like the deleted one, the band one, I don't know, the one where it shows his brains literally blown out and shit, and they used it as like a cover. I actually got that like as an idea for my song called Death, and it literally has like the skull with the brains. I got that idea from this.
That the real Pelle was a great part of Dead, the figure Dead. I do think that, but not in the extreme way. But
well, you seem like just a chill person, bro.
That was something.
You know, obviously the band wasn't like chill, but like, you know,
but he was also that on a regular daily basis. He slept with dead birds under his bed because he wanted to smell death.
Like, bro, I aspire to look like him one day. I want my hair to be that long. I want to go that long one day.
Regardless of how morbid and strange he was, his talent and intensity as a vocalist was undeniable, and his dark image played a big part in transforming, or at the very least, emphasizing Mayhem's aesthetic and sound. By the time Mayhem entered the stage with Dead for the first time in 1990, their image had become darker and more intense. A lot of this boiled down to who Dead was as a person. As stated previously, he was obsessed with the idea of death, and because of this, he would harm himself on stage and around his friends. His bandmates and friends did not like this and were understandably concerned, but Euronymous was fascinated by Dead and his antics and encouraged this kind of behavior to continue. According to the people who knew both Dead—
Bro, Euronymous just looked terrifying. He just looks like that one guy nobody wants to fuck with. You ain't fucking with me, bitch. You wants to lick my tattoos, though.
and Euronymous, they got on each other's nerves quite a bit. There were stories that they would torment each other, fight with each other, and there was even a bizarre claim that Dead had stabbed Euronymous while they lived together. A lot of these claims are difficult to prove, but the rumors and stories tell us that these two did not get along, and that Euronymous was usually the main aggressor in their disputes.
I know nobody liked that fucker.
It got to the stage where Euronymous was egging Dead on to take his own life.
I know Euronymous
an
was
idea that he would unfortunately follow through with.
I know nobody liked the Euronymous.
In 1991, Dead, Euronymous, and Hellhammer were living near the small village of Krokstad in a rural house that was in the woods. As previously mentioned, Euronymous and Dead were getting on each other's nerves, and this home was becoming—
Like, bro, I just want to fucking— Damn, bro, if I ever— Like, bro, I just want to fucking bike through, like, a road like this one day, bro. Manifesting it.
A difficult environment to live in. Hellhammer stated that Dead just sat in his room and became more and more depressed. On the 8th of April 1991, Dead was left alone in the house and decided to take his own life, leaving behind a bizarre note that said, "Excuse the blood." The note also contained some bizarre statements from a man who was clearly in need of some help. These included statements like, "I belong in the woods, and I've always done so. No one will understand the reason for this anyway. To give some semblance of an explanation, I'm not a human. This is just a dream, and soon I will awake." He was only 22 years of age.
He was only 22,
Euronymous
bro.
was the first one to come home and find him, and his reaction was bizarre.
Bro.
As stated earlier, he was obsessed with how dark and morbid Dead was, and to come home and find out that he had taken his own life was actually a pleasant surprise for Euronymous. So much so that before calling telling the authorities, he went to a local shop and purchased a disposable camera that he used to take pictures of Dead's body. He also allegedly took some of his bones and made necklaces out of them, a story that the band has since confirmed to be true. The next day, Euronymous called 𝐍𝐴 and informed him of Pele's death. In an interview with The Guardian in 2005, he explained what it was like to get the news. 𝐴steen called me up the next day and says, "Dead has done something really cool. He killed himself." I thought, have you lost it? What do you mean cool? He says, "Relax, I have photos of everything." I was in shock and grief. He was just thinking how to exploit it. So I told him, "Okay, don't even call me before you destroy those pictures." Euronymous claimed that he would get rid of the pictures, but he never did, and 𝐍𝐴 ended up leaving Mayhem because of this. This meant that half of Mayhem were now gone, and it seemed as if the band would naturally fade away, but Euronymous had other plans, and if anything, he was only getting started. In his eyes, the death of Pele was a positive turning point for both Mayhem and black metal. He started to go on a crusade to preach the importance of black metal and what it meant to be a part of this genre, using the death of his former bandmate to his advantage and claiming that Dead took his own life because black metal had become too trendy and commercial. Now, it should be noted that Dead was definitely critical of certain artists, and he believed that bandwagoners were a very real thing in the metal community. But while he opposed trends, he didn't necessarily oppose the idea of Mayhem or other black metal bands becoming commercially successful.
Dude, what the fuck?
2016, a former pen pal of Dead, who had direct correspondence with him, released a collection of letters that he had sent to him while he was alive. These letters were pretty revealing.
Bro, I think the art design for like their band like font is so cool. I think that's so fucking cool, bro. Really cool.
And we learn a lot about Dead by reading them, but one thing is for sure, he was very focused on the sales and success of Mayhem. Like any passionate...
Yeah, and then they blew churches up to get their name out there and shit. I think they were they caught? I don't remember. Well, I know they were caught eventually, but like, how long did it take? Like, I know they burned like multiple down.
Musician, he wanted his music to do well, and he constantly referenced his
I'm
distribution
green,
plans,
blah blah blah
the
blah blah blah.
Mayhem were achieving, and other black metal bands that were doing well. The reason I'm making this point is that Euronymous wanted people to believe that Dead took his own life because black metal was becoming too successful, and that simply wasn't true. It pretty much goes without saying, but Euronymous used Dead's passing to further his own agenda and emphasize his own elitism. He was able to convince people that black metal was something worth dying for, and he now had an actual martyr to go along with his story. And it worked. With his newfound notoriety, Euronymous opened up a record store in the summer of 1991 known as Helvete, or Hell in English. He also used this store as the headquarters for his record label, Death Like Silence Productions, which was relatively inactive before Helvete opened up, but it was now ready to fully embrace and support the black metal revival. The store also served as a location where like-minded musicians could meet, which helped Euronymous...
Imagine just being trapped in here, bro. And then you gotta eat your own feces and shit.
revive Mayhem from the ashes by finding suitable replacements. By 1992, they had a full lineup again, and they were ready to resume recording. Snore Rush, otherwise known as Blackthorn, joined as a guitarist, and Attila Chihara became their new lead vocalist. They still needed a bassist, however, and unfortunately for Euronymous and for Mayhem, the person they chose for that spot would not only play for the band, but would also help set off a chain of events that would destroy the band.
Varg. That bitch-ass motherfucker. Varg. I could just tell this bitch was the dude nobody liked.
In 1991, an 18-year-old known as Varg Vikernes created the one-man group known as Burzum. A year later, in 1992, he released a self-titled project under that name, and it was clear from the get-go that Varg was an exceptionally talented, well-rounded musician who at 19 years of age was crafting some of the best atmospheric black metal of his time. At this stage, Euronymous had created what was described as a black metal inner circle, and he was the de facto leader of it.
Didn't he have, like, the fucking trademark, like, got him some weapon or whatever. He had, like, this spike thing. I don't know. There's, like, a picture. I seen, like, this thumbnail of him, like, holding some spike or whatever.
It was a small clique of musicians, and in Euronymous' case, it was a great way to source potential talent for Mayhem, and 𝐻𝑨𝐽, being one of the most talented...
Oh, yeah, this fucker does, like, interviews. I've seen, like, apparently this fucker's just chilling now. Like, I've seen, like, videos of him just doing these weird interviews and shit. And, like, I see, like, the comments and people actually, like, enjoying it, too. He's like some old fucker that just does these weird interviews now.
Musicians in the scene was a perfect fit for the band. He joined as a bassist in 1992. Euronymous was more powerful than ever. His band, his label, his store, and his inner circle were all working...
See, like, in the movie, bro, like, in the movie, they make him... And, like, I'm gonna be for real, bro, like... I'm gonna be for real, like, look, on some real shit, I don't even think the movie was, like, that bad. Like, it just wasn't accurate compared to, like, the actual story, and plus it kind of just gave me, like, teenager vibes, you know, like, it just felt like the most teenager movie ever, bro. I'm gonna be for real. In, like, the movie, they make Euronymous seem like the good guy, you know, like, in the movie, like, I felt bad when he died, you know, like, they made it seem like he was a good person in the movie, you know, if you guys seen the movie, I don't know, I feel like probably some people have, I don't know, I mean, it's not really a mainstream movie, it's like, I don't know. I remember watching the movie, bro, and, like, they make him seem like a good person. He's got, like, this fine-ass shoddy, bro.
His favor. He had essentially created a
well-oiled
I
remember he has, like,
machine
this fine-ass
that was
shoddy
especially designed for him, and because of this, he started to make a...
And they were, like, taking pictures and, like, fuck... I remember there's, like, this part where, like, they take pictures in, like, a fucking abandoned, like, buildings and shit, bro. I'm gonna do that shit in the future, 100%. I'm manifesting this all, bro. I'm gonna do all that shit.
List of rules and regulations that you had to follow in order to be a real member of the scene. The main rule was that you had to be a Satanist. He didn't even care about what kind of metal you were making. As long as you practiced actual Satanism, he considered you a part of the black metal scene. He said, if a band cultivates and worships Satan, it's black metal. In a way, it can be ordinary heavy metal or just noise. What's important is that it's satanic. That's what makes it black metal.
Yep.
Another strange...
Yep, because Burning Cross is just, it runs in the blood of fucking metal bands. Dude, come on, man. I mean, shit, I made literally a song with an upside down cross, but that doesn't mean I support Satan. Just because I make satanic songs doesn't mean I support Satan. People are so soft, bro. They're like, oh, satanic song, cancel him, blah, blah, blah. He supports Satan. He sold his soul. Just because I make satanic songs doesn't mean I sold my soul. I'm literally so close to God. You guys know I literally pray to God after I make some of my songs. I'm dead serious. I gotta pray, bro. I'm close to God, man. I'm close. It's crazy. Most people would think that I'm saying a satanic. Fuck no. I'm close to God. I'm gonna be for real. I feel like I'm gonna still probably do some dumb satanic shit in the future, but I'm gonna always just pray to God after I do it, you know? Like, I don't know why. I just feel like I'll do some dumb fucking... I don't fucking know. But I'm close to God. I'm always gonna be close to God. I love God with a passion. God runs in my soul, bro.
Rule he
Without
had
God,
was that
there's
his
not
listeners had to be deemed
Literally.
worthy to listen to Mayhem's music. In multiple
literally
interviews, he talked about listeners who were unworthy and therefore should not listen to black metal.
Det jævla stor etterspørsel etter skiva da, og den har jo gått for opp til 1500 kroner på svarte markedet. Og vi mener jo at den gangen den skiva kom ut, så var det kanskje en 20-30 mann som fikk tak i plata, som fortjente å eie den. Og resten av de som fikk tak i den en hel haug med idioter.
This kind of elitism gave the genre an alluring but exclusive energy that added to the already insane image that black metal had, but probably did more harm than good and stopped potential fans from enjoying these artists' work. However, a lot of people were willing to follow these guidelines, and it did nothing but add to the cult leader-like status that Euronymous had created. He was on top of the totem pole, and his ego was at an all-time high.
I have a massive fucking evil ego.
And Euronymous' image became a confusing one, with some people thinking that he was a god, while others believed that he was an egomaniac on a power trip.
Literally me. Literally me, bro. Literally fucking me.
Many members of the black metal community started to criticize his way of thinking. One of these critics was 𝐻𝐽, who still worked and associated with Euronymous, but that did not stop a power struggle from brewing. It's widely believed and reported that 𝐻𝐽 wanted the power that Euronymous had. But with him owning the store, the band, and the label, the cards were all in his hands. Whether this power struggle theory is true or not, it was fueled by an insane chain of events that would ultimately lead to a murder.
No. The death of Euronymous. Yeah, in the movie he stabbed him, right? 𝐁𝐺 stabbed him to death, wasn't it? Is that what happened? I just remember in the movie, bro. Dude, I remember in the movie, like, it just seemed so sad. Like, they just made him seem like a good... They made Euronymous seem like such a good fucker, bro. When he dies, like, I was kind of sad. Like, damn, like, they made his death, like, seem like he was a good person, bro.
It's not surprising that
his
black
death,
metal
like, in the
wasn't
movie
the
is
most
so
commercially
sad.
successful genre of music in the early 90s. The exclusive nature and the abrasive sound made it a difficult genre to be a part of, and in the eyes of some of the musicians, the only way to really promote it was to embrace this stereotype further and generate enough controversy so that journalists would write about black metal. According to a blog that 𝐷 wrote in 2004 while he was in prison, he hatched a plan with Euronymous to promote the Helvete store and attract more fans to the genre. Under his pseudonym, 𝐷 gave an interview to a Norwegian newspaper, and in it, he claimed that he was responsible for the burning of a church and that he had killed a man in the town of Lillehammer. In 1992, almost a dozen churches were burned down in Norway, and in many cases, the culprit was still a mystery. On top of this, a man actually was murdered in 1992 in Lillehammer, but this was done by another black metal musician known as Bård Faust. That did not stop 𝐷 from taking credit for these crimes, at least anonymously. This interview served as a confession that members of the black metal community were responsible for these church burnings, and the intention was to make the interview as provocative as possible so that it would promote black metal to the masses. Well, it essentially worked. A media spotlight was now on the genre, but there was also a target on their heads. 𝐷 was quickly arrested under suspicion of committing these crimes, along with other members of the black metal community, and allegedly, Euronymous' parents told him to shut down the shop as to avoid any unnecessary attention, meaning their misguided attempt at some free promotion was essentially an utter failure. 𝐷 was eventually released in March of 1993, and at this stage, he was essentially done with Euronymous. They had already had a dispute about money a year prior, and this was the tip of the iceberg. He explains his growing dislike for Euronymous in the same blog post that he wrote about the interview. Euronymous had made a complete fool of himself by closing down the shop, and most of us agreed that he was a damn wimp and an idiot. I was angry at him for not taking...
Yeah, I know, like, he was like, in the real life, he was like that guy nobody fucking liked, but in the movie, they make him seem so likable.
...advantage of the situation, which was why I had done that silly interview in the first place, and I didn't want anything more to do with him. As far as I was concerned, he didn't exist anymore. For some months, this dislike for Euronymous spread in the metal scene, as more and more people understood what a moron he was, and he blamed me for all of this, and started to hate me. He believed it was my fault that people lost their respect for him. In a sense, he was right, as I certainly didn't keep my opinions a secret, but I think he brought that upon himself. He was simply disclosed by the way he reacted.
Damn, look at all this writing rubbing my head.
Further, when the media wrote all that crap about me, it made him feel less important. Suddenly, he was no longer the main character in the hardcore metal scene. As he saw it, that too was my fault. According to 𝐷, Euronymous was so angry that he hatched a plan to kill him, and when 𝐷 caught wind of this, he wanted to confront Euronymous and put this behind him. They had a contract that 𝐷 needed to sign, and Euronymous invited him to meet him in person. Instead of setting a time and a place, 𝐷 just drove to Oslo unannounced with Snorre, the guitarist from Mayhem at the time. When they arrived at the apartment, an insane series of events unfolded, and there are multiple different accounts of what happened, so for the sake of being fair and thorough, we'll run through the different possible scenarios. First, there is 𝐷's retelling of the night, which he wrote about in this blog post, but he also did an interview where he essentially recounts a similar scenario.
The only reason he had to contact me was a contract between Burzum and his label. So he sent me the contracts and wanted me to sign them, and he wanted to meet when we were signing them. Okay? There's no reason to wait. Let's just go to Oslo and get done with it.
And kill him.
But of course, it takes some time.
Come on, bro. I'm 𝐷, guys, and I kill Euronymous.
Bad roads and...
Euronymous, don't you ever fucking...
It took some time to reach. I think we were there in 3 o'clock or maybe 4 o'clock. So he was sleeping. I told him, well, I don't care if you're sleeping, just open the door. And he opened the door, which is rather strange, really. You know, he just opened the door. And even though he had plans to kill me. And when he had this beeper, you know. And when I got up in the apartment, he panicked. Because, you know, he probably, you know, he had plans to kill me.
Varg, come on, bro.
So he panicked. He attacked me, he kicked me in the chest, I just threw him to the ground.
And they killed him.
A bit stunned, really, because, you know, he attacked me, you know. I didn't expect it at the time. And
you killed him.
I was stunned for a while. He was just sitting on the floor, and suddenly he got up, trying to
Wait, this is Varg, right? This is Varg. Is this Varg?
Knife in the kitchen. And I thought, well, if he's going to have a knife, I'm going to have a knife. So I had a pocket knife, this small
He's just like me.
knife. I got it up and prevented him from getting into the kitchen, you know, so he didn't manage to get his knife. And then he started to run off towards his bedroom, where we kept the shotgun that Dad shot himself with, as well as electroshock pistol. It's turned out later on that he didn't have any of these things in the bedroom, but I believed it at the time. And that is the reason I followed him.
I think this band in a nutshell, bro, like, they were just a bunch of dumb motherfuckers. They just like me, bro. They were just like a bunch of dumb motherfuckers that just didn't like have any sort of chemistry in any sort of way, you know? Literally, no sort of chemistry in the band.
And instead of going into the bedroom, he just left the building, really. He just started to run down the stairs. And I followed him and managed to stop him. And of course, I had a friend with me, actually the guitarist of Mayhem. And of course, he was rather shocked. And I waited, because I didn't know how he was going to react. You know, he was the guitarist in Mayhem. So for all I knew, he could attack me as well. Maybe they planned it, you know. Get a bit paranoid in situations like that. So I just waited for what's going to happen. I just waited. Also was on the floor. He broke a lamp on the wall, so he was swimming in glass fragments with only his underwear, so he was rather bloody. And this other guy just ran past me. And of course, I understood that he's not a part of it. So I asked him, are you okay? And he just ran off. And then I remember that he had my car keys. And I had blood all over my
your car keys.
𝐬𝐳𝐬𝐿 got up and attacked me again. So I finished 𝐬𝐳𝐬𝐿 off. I what do you say, stabbed him in the skull, so he died immediately.
Damn, like, bro was so casual about it, bro. I just stabbed him in the skull. Ah!
I followed the other guy. He ran to the car.
Bro, I'll stab anyone that tries me, bro.
So I managed to calm him down. You know, he gave me the car keys. I opened the car, you know, and we drove back. You know.
So in this situation, Varg is essentially pleading a form of self-defense, but it's important to note that in the blog post, he admits that Euronymous attempted to run away multiple times and that he was angry at his cowardly behavior. I gave chase, stabbed him, and was a bit surprised when he ran out of the apartment instead. It made no sense to flee, and it made me angry to know that he had started the fight, but the moment it didn't go his way, he decided to flee instead.
Why did he flee, though?
Such is always something I have disliked strongly. He had showed his intention to kill me, and even though he was no longer a direct threat to me, there and then, I did not feel any bad for killing him. His cowardice had made me
guys,
angry,
fuck
and
that
I saw
corpse.
no reason to let him
Bitch
live.
ass motherfucker.
Not when he had showed his intent to kill me. Had I let him live, I would only let him have another attempt at my life later on. This blog post made the self-defense theory more difficult to justify, and it's important to remember that this is coming from the man who actually committed the murder, which is obviously a very biased source. What's important about this blog post and Varg's confession in general is that he claims that he was the only person responsible for the death of Euronymous and that he had no original intention to kill him. This is a vital piece of information because the other account of this night is wildly different. Both Varg and Snore were eventually arrested for the murder of Euronymous, and the police wanted a confession from both of them. At first, Snorre denied having any involvement in the crime, but eventually he changed his story and he admitted that Varg had planned to kill him all along and that he persuaded Snorre into being an accomplice. This is the story that the jury bought, and Snorre was sentenced to 8 years in prison. While
in Norway prison, so like that's a dream come true.
Varg was sentenced to 21 years in prison, a sentence that included charges
Wait, Varg was set 21 years?
arson, as he
And he
was also
served that.
convicted of multiple church burnings that happened a year prior. The answer probably lies in between both of these stories, and it wouldn't be surprising if there was indiscrepancies.
Yeah, it's like the first time they mentioned the church burnings, bro. I think that shit's like just crazy thing. Dude, I hope, I'm gonna be for real, like, no, never mind.
Inconsistencies in both of these accounts. By the sounds of it, Snorre was probably in the wrong place at the wrong time, but Varg's self-defense claim is also quite flimsy when you zoom out. But the result was the same. Euronymous was dead, and the black metal community and Mayhem would never be the same again. It
No,
was a
literally.
sad tale
They're a
of
dog shit
ego,
band now.
power,
I think they were dog
and
shit
what
back
it all
then.
ultimately leads to.
I mean, like, I'm gonna be for real, like, Death Crush and Chainsaw, I think that's song, right? Chainsaw Gutfuck. Those are, like, the only two songs that I've listened by them, and, like, I don't know, they're actually kind of good. I don't know. Like, it's not, like, something I'll listen to, but it's, like, yeah. I don't know, bro. The album that ended it all.
At this stage, I'm sure you're asking yourself why we haven't talked about actual music for almost 20 minutes. And the answer to that is there was barely any Mayhem music to talk about. Throughout all of this carnage and all of this bloodshed, Mayhem hadn't released an official studio album. They had some demos, recorded rehearsals, and live shows, but it wouldn't be until 1994, a year after Euronymous was buried, that Necrobutcher and Hellhammer came together to finally release their first album. De Mysteries Dom Satanos, a Latin phrase that means about the mysteries of the Lord Satan. A strangely fitting
Oh yeah, the other one wasn't even an album. Yeah.
name given the
They
circumstances.
had like 6 songs, right?
This may have been the best thing that Mayhem ever made, and it was one of the most culturally significant and important black metal albums of all time. It was dark, fast-paced, well-crafted, and thought-provoking. It was the culmination of 7 years of absolute insanity, and it had a baffling lineup. Almost everybody we talked about had a part to play on this album. Hellhammer supplied the drums, Attila Chihara was the vocalist, Dead and Necrobutcher were credited writers, Varg was the bassist, and Euronymous was the guitarist. After everything that had happened, after all of the fights, the insults, the suicide, and the murder, they were all together for a final time. Mayhem are still active today, with Necrobutcher being their only original member left, but nothing would top this album. It was truly a phenomenon, and it's one that I highly recommend you listen to. A group of men in their early 20s had changed the landscape of metal forever, but lives were ruined and destroyed in the process. A sacrifice that I'm sure most of them were unhappy with, but some of them probably didn't mind.
Damn. Fuck you, Varg. Weird ass bitch. Is that it?
And that is it for this.
Well, guys, this is the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, guys. Which one of those parts of the video was the most interesting to you? If you guys enjoyed the reaction, comment, reaction, these features you need to do. I'll see you next one. Peace.